Oh, hello there. Yes, well, cold and damp, isn't it? I think it's always been cold and damp. It has never been anything else because apparently that's the way the world works. We're always here and now. There may well have been a past which we can dimly remember, but we have no idea of how we got here. So there may well have been a summer where it was warmer, but we don't really understand the process by which it's different now. Yes, which brings me neatly, of course, to our standard right-wing commentators who exist in a world where things do happen very, very mysteriously, just on their own. So we slip seamlessly from the past into the present and into the future with no real understanding of what's going on. Maybe if they read a bit of Marx, they would. Maybe not, obviously. Anyway, what am I banging on about? Well, yesterday, I had a look at the latest from James S's writing for Matt Goodwin, yes, and it's all about, it's about his job, to be quite honest, which is basically waiting for somebody to send him an email about something they don't like, which he then pretends to be cross about, and, suggesting that we're all going to die because of something that's very minor. In this case, it's a guide to language for civil servants, which apparently is ideological capture. Whatever that means, no, me neither. Yes, but that sort of got me thinking as to what exactly it is that how these people think that the world changes. Because, of course, if we cast our mind back, I know, into the past, I know it's hard, yes, but think of the past when things were different. And if we then ask ourselves, how did they change? Well, according to people like Matt and James, they just do change, yeah? Everybody wakes up one morning and decides that things are going to be different. And granted, before you lot and me can remember, but votes for women were treated in a way that historically gay people and right now trans people are, right? Okay? The idea of unnatural harridans who are unreasonable, violent, nasty. Yes, going against biology, weren't they? Yes. And yet, of course, nobody, not even Matt, would argue that women shouldn't have the vote today. We magically changed. How? Well, people woke up one day and just decided, way back in 1918-1928, depending on your viewpoint of these things in terms of suffrage, to change things. And, of course, all of those horrible activists weren't real. Yes. Apart from all that stuff in prison, which we probably better not talk about. But of course, on a wider level, we end up in a society where people do decide that things like language are actually a good idea to change. Think about women's football. Now, I can remember being quite a young-ish person in terms of being a teenager when girls were not allowed to play football. The sort of standard Saturday morning football clubs that were all over the place that had their own structures actively banned women from them. Yes, and then there was a long battle, wasn't there? Yes, about women doing unnatural things like playing football, but in very, very sexist terms. Before, of course, we, arrived at the point now whereby basically you would indeed get beaten to death if you did such a thing. How have we arrived at this change? Well, apparently it's all not about people making a fuss about things like language and then sort of applying pressure from the outside and then us actually arriving at a point where things become what we might regard as natural, normal now. And James and Matt obviously have no comprehension about this because, like I often say with people, they just don't have any understanding of processes that work in society. Maybe if they took sociology GCSE it might help, or just broadly just having a vague understanding of dialectics in terms of Marxist thought. But I guess that's too much to ask because after all, that's not going to pay anything, is it? Their understanding won't pay the bills, and their understanding, if should it come about, would mean that they would probably have to get, a proper job rather than pretending to be cross at somebody suggesting that sexist or otherwise language is a bad thing, which magically they have decided is. Anyway, odd world we live in, isn't it? Yes, eh? Still, at least they're not chained to the kitchen sink, as perhaps they should have been. Yes, when people go out of their biological models, It doesn't end well, does it? No. Just look at all the women there are now in jobs. It's no wonder nothing works, eh? Yes, shoot me now. Anyway, do have a lovely Tuesday. Good grief, we are creeping our way into something that I might actually call some time off. Do enjoy.